Do you want to start with the graphic didn't show up today?
Yeah, so you can start.
Yeah. Oh, you go ahead. You go ahead.
All right, on the front page of the Finder, we have Dr. Chambers applaud Akufo-Addo's SONA and anti-LGBTQI plus bill unanimously passed. Dr. Bawumia charges campaign manifesto committees to execute duties with United Front. Akufo-Addo cautions countries against actions that jeopardizes unity of ECOWAS. And that's what we have on the front page of the new Finder.
All right, the Ghanaian Times. The child streetism suit. Supreme Court tosses child rights case. And we have President appoints Dr. Da Costa Boaje as NHIA CEO. We have 76th Christian Board Crossroads shooting incident marked in Accra. And we have the aftermath of SONA 2023. We've saved 15 trillion Ghana cedis from court cases for government, AG affirms.
Okay, so on the front page of the Chronicle, Dame saves staggering 10 trillion Ghana cedis for Mother Ghana. And the big one here, I can't really say the word, but it's official. Yeah, you can read it on your screen. Has been banned in Ghana. As Parliament defy odds to pass anti-gay bill into law, but Audrey Gajepo goes bonkers. And the scripture of the day, Leviticus 20, verse 13, if a man lies with a male as with a woman, both of them have committed an abomination, they shall surely be put to death. Their blood is upon them.
Chronicle for you.
Yeah.
All right, the Daily Guide has these headlines here. It says AG justifies 10 trillion Ghana cedi judgment debt savings. Okay, anti-gay bill passed, 3 years jail term. Dr. Da Costa appointed new NHIA CEO, and we have police service transformation worth emulating. Is coming from the president, complimenting the police service, and assassination attempt foiled.
All right, on the front page of the Anchor, use of marijuana links to the risk of heart attacks and strokes. Study says majority front shake-up perfect for NPP, and that's by Razak Opoku. Now, man banished from community over alleged LGBTQ status. As Parliament unanimously passes LGBTQ plus bill. And yes. All right. I reserve my comment on that.
Okay.
ECGPRO runs from Dumso, says, I didn't sleep in darkness. I slept in darkness yesterday. And 24-hour economy, not a deliberate policy. And that's by Goodfellow.
Well, I think it's good for her if she didn't sleep in darkness.
Yes.
But a lot of people are doing so, and more often than we would like to.
Yes.
You know, and look, I have a problem in my area, and apart from the doom soda, which is, you know, ever so often it happens, and I live in the Mile 7 petroleum area, the light goes off fairly frequently, you know. But there's also another problem that I've noticed is the low voltage. It's strange, and it's even more debilitating and very damaging to equipment and all of that. So please, ECG, you need to up your game. I'm not sure what's going on there, but I'm stating it here that yes, there are problems. And so if your PRO says they didn't sleep in darkness, it doesn't mean that it ain't happening. Because we're here, we're living it, it's happening.
I actually slept in darkness yesterday.
Oh, you did, eh?
Yes, and the light just
there
came this morning
there you have it.
5:55. Exactly
imagine?
at 5:55. Wow.
We are waiting for light to come before we
You know.
Can you imagine? Anyway, all right, so I have the Daybreak, and it says, shake up at GRA coming. Okay. Parliament passes anti-LGBTQ bill. Transformation in police service worth emulating, coming from the president, and tackling migration will address national security. That again is coming from the president.
All right, on the front page of the Business Analyst, anti-LGBTQ bill passed, but Human Rights Coalition urges Akufo-Addo not to assent to bill. Ghana's economic woes Two, over bloated expenditure, and that's by Seth Tepper, former finance minister. T-bills yields to decline in 2024, but will remain high, Fitch forecasts. And third, African Media Convention, register and media accreditation now open. Electricity tariff reduced by 6.56% for some residential consumers. Right. I find this very interesting.
What's that?
I mean, the anti-LGBTQ bill passed.
Okay.
And Human Rights Coalition urging the president not to assent to bill. Well, I'm not talking about the president not assenting to the bill, but my problem is, you know, how people are going to start acting. Because like the first, I mean, like the anchor said, man banished from community.
Yeah.
So when you read it, you realize that he was about to be lynched. So how many more of that are we going to see?
Yeah. So
how many more people are going to put the laws into their hands just because, you know, Parliament has, you know, agreed to passing the law?
Yes.
So something needs to, yes, you have agreed to pass the law, but something needs to be done to protect people in the sense that others do not take matters into their own hands.
But you see, Chris, at the risk of dumping the issues together, anybody who is attempting to lynch anybody in this country deserves to be picked up by the police.
Well,
do you see? And so we need to say that lynching is a criminal act by itself and cannot be justified by any description of whatever it is that you have in your mind that, oh, the person is this, the person is that. No, lynching is a crime. And so the police must up their game to arrest people that attempt to lynch anybody.
Exactly.
Yeah. You know, so for me, I draw, let's separate the issues. It's as simple as that, you know. And you said that it is unacceptable. It doesn't matter what you think, it's unacceptable to lynch anybody. It's like what we were discussing a couple of weeks ago on the anniversary of Major Muhammad's Day, right? You see somebody is jogging and then somebody just shouts, "Thief!"
Thief.
And then
exactly.
That's really
the act of jungle justice, the act of trying to put the.
We are not animals,
you understand?
We cannot descend into that abyss. The country has to improve. And so the police service has been doing very well. We've seen a lot of major improvements. We need to get to the point where now police are, as in the case of Major Hama, look, 7 years later, they jailed the people.
Yes.
So you will be found out and you will be jailed. Yeah. Your crimes will find you out. You cannot just lynch anybody and get away with it. All right. So yes, let's. My final paper is the ABC News. Backbench schools MPs on new standing orders. Parliament passes anti-LGBTQ bill, and Ghana has the cleanest fuel in the sub-region. That's coming from the MPA boss, and we have MPs amazed over SML's world-class audit system facility. All right, so that's it for the ABC News.
All right, so my last paper is actually the Business and Financial Times. We have here effect of fluctuating crude oil prices in human development. Goldfields Foundation donate assorted items to health centers and security agencies. Delta assures Ghanaian travelers of world-class services on par with global standards. ACCA Global CEO urges stakeholders to elevate SMEs in sustainability plans. And Business and Financial Times, Star Life reinforce business ties. And lastly, we have here Momo agents flourish despite broad unemployment.
All right. Now, that's actually quite interesting, isn't it? So even though on one hand we're seeing a rise in unemployment figures, people are still doing business. People are still exchanging money, sending money, repatriating funds, and so on. CitiNewsroom.com has some headlines here. We'll just go through quickly. Anti-corruption fight more rhetorical than action-oriented. Well, that's how it seems to be. And Mary Ada was speaking on the point of view yesterday. It's critical for us to put boots on the ground and really have proper anti-corruption action take place, in the country. Conversation on free SHS policy needed to address rough edges. This is coming from Angel Kabonu. Again, he was speaking on point of view. Arocha chastises Akufo-Addo over his silence on Galamsey, and this was Daro Bosu on point of view yesterday. Nigeria imposes annual levy on expatriate workers, and Akufo-Addo should fulfill his promise by assenting to anti-gay bill. Sam George speaking.
All right.
Yeah.
So some other stories that we have. The passage of anti-gay bill. It's sad. It's a sad day for Ghana's democracy, and that's by Audrey Gajikbom. Bahumia will win December polls with over 50% votes, Dan Buttre says. And Mahama rebukes government for not supplying textbooks to schools despite changing curriculum. Recent power cut will be fixed within 2 weeks, Deputy Energy Minister designate says. And
please read that line again.
Recent power cut will be fixed within 2 weeks.
Okay.
I think we need to alert the ECG PRO.
I like the headline.
She needs to know.
No, I like the headline. So the Deputy Energy Minister is saying that recent power cuts will be fixed within 2 weeks.
So there's a problem.
So there's an admission of a problem. Okay. So please, let's not do PR to try and gloss over things and pretend that it don't exist. We live here.
Yeah.
We're in the dark. Anyway, it's time for sports review. Don't go anywhere. All right, on the sports review this morning, we have some 2024 Olympic qualifier updates. Now, Ghana's Black Queens drew 3-3 yesterday in Ndola, Zambia, to lose 4-3 on aggregate to the Copper Queens and fall out of the qualifying series for the 2024 Olympic Games. Now, the Black Queens went into the second leg with a 1-0 deficit and fell behind to a Barbara Banda goal to widen the gap to 2-0. Now, however, goals from Gifty Asifwa, Doris Buidua brought Ghana on level on aggregate, but an Asifwa own goal gave Zambia the lead again. Azuma Bugri scored for Ghana to edge the Queens forward, but a 96th strike from Banda eliminated Ghana from the series. Now the Black Queens will now turn their attention to preparing for next year's Women's African Cup of Nations to be played in Morocco. And I say kudos to the Black Queens for going to the opponent's camp and doing a good showing there. Unfortunately, it just wasn't enough. All right, now in the Emirates FA Cup, we have some news. Manchester United needed a late goal from Casemiro to beat Nottingham Forest 1-0 in last night's Emirates FA Cup round 5 tie. Now the Red Devils were second best all night, but Nottingham Forest failed to take the numerous chances they had, and they were punished by a Casemiro header from a Bruno Fernandes free kick. Liverpool continued their winning run with a 2-0 home victory over Southampton at Anfield. It was a 3-0 win. 3-0 win. Yeah, let me clarify. Jurgen Klopp gave starts to his youngsters due to the number of injuries to his first-team players, and they did not disappoint. 18-year-old Luis Kumas gave the Reds the lead in the 44th minute, and another 18-year-old, Jayden Dance, added 2 more in the 73rd and 88th minutes. Now, Chelsea's pursuit of a trophy continued with a 3-2 win over Leeds at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea's pursuit of a trophy continued with a 3-2 win over Leeds at Stamford Bridge. Well done to Chelsea. Mateo Joseph put Leeds ahead, but Nicholas Jackson and Michaelo Mudryk turned it around for Chelsea. Now, Joseph tied it for Leeds, but Conor Gallagher struck late to win the game for Chelsea. Now, the quarterfinal draw was done yesterday, and it threw up some interesting fixtures. Now, Wolves versus Coventry, Manchester United versus Liverpool, Chelsea versus Leicester, and Man City versus Newcastle. It's gonna be interesting. Well, that's it for Sports Review this morning.